What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 10th Doctor David Tennant story, Human Nature and the Family of Blood. Now, this has always been one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who, so yeah, this is going to be a review where I'm very happy because I may even say that it might be my favourite episode of Doctor Who, at least of the new series. I just love this two-parter. I think it is so good. It is quite different to a lot of other Doctor Who stories, but I love it for that, and I just really like this story. You'll see as we go through this review. But anyway, let's get started with the cast. David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. Well, he's kind of as the 10th Doctor, but not really in this story. He's just playing John Smith for the majority of this story, because of course the whole thing with this story, which we'll get to, is that the Doctor has to basically turn himself into a human to get away from these aliens that are trying to capture him and kind of take his Time Lord sort of essence from him. So he has to become a human. He forgets that he's the Doctor, and yeah, he's playing John Smith for the majority of the story. I think as John Smith, he's great. I mean, he's still very doctory. You know, of course, he's kind of got memories and thoughts in his mind, little stories in his mind of what the Doctor is like. So you've still got that aspect of it, and when he's kind of transitioning from John Smith to the Doctor, back to the Doctor again, he is so good. I think the emotion and just the weight that David Tennant puts on his performance in this episode especially is just so good. It may be my favourite performance of him, and he's not even playing the Doctor for most of it. Freema Agyeman as Martha Jones. Martha is also great in this. Freema is great. She has a very big part of the story because she's the only one that actually remembers the Doctor. She knows what's going on here. She's kind of here to kind of protect him in a way. And yeah, just her trying to kind of keep the secret at the start, and then when she's eventually trying to, get him to snap out of it, and because she needs him to be the Doctor again. That is just so good. Freema Agyeman is so good in this story. This may be my favorite episode of kind of, just story wise, and also the cast. The main cast especially are so good, and the rest of the cast as well, the guest cast, they're all really good as well. I don't think there's a bad actor here. I mean, the way Baines is very weird the way he's acted, but that is that character. And when you think of it like that, the actor does such a great job, and everyone else is really good. Yeah, it's just such a good cast. Let's get started with some points to start with human nature. The Doctor is human and has dreams of being a Time Lord. So yeah, he has to wipe out his memories of being a Time Lord. He basically stops one of his hearts so that he registers as a human as well. But John Smith he kind of has stories and dreams in his head of being a Time Lord. And I thought that was a really cool little thing. The way, it starts with him in his little book with all these stories, all the pictures. You've got like a picture of a Slitheen in there. I think there's like a clockwork robot and the Daleks and stuff. It's a really cool kind of aspect to the story. John Smith and Joe Redford's relationship. So a big thing with this episode is that the Doctor, John Smith in the story, starts getting into a relationship with this character called Joe Redford. Now, I don't have the actress's name up at the moment, but she is really good as well. Such a good supporting actress in this episode, definitely. And the relationship between those two it really blossoms, and you believe it, though. It's quite a quick thing, of course, because you've only got 2 episodes to build this up, but it is a believable love story that's going on here, and it's so good, and by the end, so tragic. Aliens that disguise themselves as humans. Now, this may be the one slight weakness of the story, although I wouldn't really call it a weakness. It is that the aliens in this story, they do just look human, because they obviously have some sort of form that isn't human, because like Baines, for example, when he goes and goes into the ship, which we'll get to in a moment, when he goes into this ship and gets confronted by the Family of Blood, he screams. So obviously there's something horrifying in front of him, but we never actually get to see what these beings actually look like before they, become human looking. And I guess it is a little bit of a cop out that they are just human looking, but I still like it. The emotion and the the lack of emotion and just how the actors and actresses portray these characters though as as kind of humans, I really like because they feel alien. The way they act, they just feel alien. So it doesn't bother me too much that they don't look alien. The Doctor's Time Lord energy is inside a fog watch. So the Doctor has this fog watch on the side of his kind of fireplace all the time, and he has no idea what that is, what it's about. To him, it's just a fog watch. But of course, Martha knows what's inside there. It's actually his Time Lord energy is inside. The Doctor himself is inside this fog watch, and if he ever opens this fog watch for any length of time, he will become the Doctor again, but that will also bring the family of blood to him. So I think that is a really cool concept that was first introduced in this story and has been a thing in the series ever since. The family of blood using scarecrows as soldiers. I thought the scarecrows were always terrifying. They are really, really creepy. Once again, it's a very human thing. It's just a scarecrow. But the way they're designed and the way they look is terrifying. The fact that, they're getting shot at, but and that's later on in the story, but they start getting shot at, but they're just made of straw. You can kind of just stick your hand through them. It's just, yeah, they're really creepy. John Smith saving the pram from the piano. This is a great little scene where he's trying to ask Joe out to the kind of ball, to the dance. And he's really nervous about it. He's very, very awkward, just like the Doctor in a lot of ways, but in kind of a different sort of way. But yeah, he ends up, they're having a chat together, and he just sees at the corner of his eye, this woman with a pram, and then this piano getting hoisted up into the air, and he can just tell, like, that's going to snap, the piano's going to fall down, it's going to crush this woman and her, baby. And he throws, I think, a cricket ball, and it, like, bounces off multiple things, and basically, yeah, a bunch of stuff happens and saves the woman and the baby from being crushed by this piano. It is such a ridiculous scene, but I love it. Tim took the fog watch. So Tim is another one of our more main side characters in this story. He's a young guy who, yeah, basically finds this fog watch, opens it up, and, starts learning who the Doctor is. And in some ways, he kind of leads the family of blood to the Doctor. But in other ways, he actually really helps the situation out. So he's a little bit of it's like, oh, do you root for him or do you not? He's clearly not trying to be, a troublemaker, but he just kind of is by accident. But he's a really cool character. He's played by, once again, I don't know the actor's name, but he's since done a lot of big stuff in TV and movies. So yeah, great seeing him here. Finally, for human nature, we've got a great cliffhanger. I love this cliffhanger. It's like, they go to the ball, the family of blood follow them to the ball, and they get Joe Redford and they get Martha, put a gun to their head, and they go to the Doctor, John Smith, and go, who do you want us to kill? Your lover or your, like, best friend or whatever, or your maid, I don't know, whatever they call her. Obviously they're not going to kill Martha. We're pretty certain they're not going to kill Joe as well. But yeah, I think it's just such a good, the way the music builds up and the your choice at the end, the way he just says it, I just love it. Onto the family of blood now. Tim opens the watch to distract them as Martha takes Jenny's gun. So Jenny is the kind of other cleaner maid who gets taken over by one of the family of blood. And yeah, Martha manages, as they open the watch, the family of blood all kind of, they like sniff out the Doctor's scent. So they get distracted. Martha grabs the gun from Jenny and kind of turns it on them. It does a very noble thing by, being like, everybody else get out of here. And it kind of leaves her stuck behind with the family of blood. She manages to get away, thankfully, but yeah, it's a great scene for Martha. Martha proving she's a doctor. Another scene that I really like with Martha in this one, because, of course, Martha is a dark-skinned character, dark-skinned woman, and this is set back in World War, it's just before the First World War, I think. And yeah, a black young woman in Britain especially would not be, you wouldn't expect to see a woman like that as a doctor or a nurse in those times. And, when Martha keeps saying to Joe, I am a doctor, and she's like, no, you're not. And she then starts like naming every bone in like her hand. I love that scene. Like, it's such a good scene. the kids fighting the scarecrows. So this is when the scarecrows attack the school and the kids are all shooting at them. Now, I love the scene because once again the music, the it's kind of a bit of a flash forward to what it's going to be like in the war for these kids. You know, they've got a war to fight in a couple of years' time, so it's kind of a flash for me. Of course, they don't know that, but it's really, interesting seeing that kind of play out, knowing what's going to come for them. But also just the emotion in there. You know, a lot of the kids are like crying as they're shooting, even though these aren't real people. They're just these scarecrow monster things, hay monsters. They're crying and they're distressed, and it's so emotional. And you've also got the doctor there with a gun, or John Smith, but he's still like the doctor. He's stood there with the gun. He doesn't make a single shot, and it kind of zooms in on his face, and he's looking around as everyone else is shooting and in such distress, and he cannot shoot. Martha and Tim trying to convince the doctor to open the watch. Yeah, that's a moment where, of course, yeah, Tim comes out and says, "I've got the fog watch. This is what's going on," and he's like going on about, the doctor is all these things, and he's fire, he's ice, he's crazy, and they're like, that does not sound like a good man, but he's like, but he's amazing. Just that whole scene, I love that. I just keep saying I love that scene. What else can I say? It's just great acting, great storytelling, just all great stuff. John and Joe seeing their possible future. Now, this is a heartbreaking scene when the doctor, John Smith, kind of touches Joe and they have like a bit of a vision to their possible future, getting married, having kids, and then dying. And it's such an emotional thing that, once again, the music in this episode is fantastic. The music that plays through that is just so emotional, and just it breaks your heart to think, this isn't going to work out for these two, because the doctor needs to come back. The doctor pretending to give the family the watch, but tricking them. This may be my favourite scene in all of Doctor Who. I love it so much. Where the doctor comes in with the fog watch, he is still acting like John Smith at the time. He's like, "Take the watch. I don't want it. I've decided." In the back of your mind, you're like, really? Is that really what he went for here? Surely there's going to be a catch. Sure enough, there is, because they take the watch, they open it up, they sniff, and there's nothing there. And John Smith is like, "What do you mean there's nothing there? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. It's not in me. I don't understand it." And they throw the watch back at him, and he just catches it. And he just is, from that catch, he is instantly the doctor. And while that's all going on, they're pushing him around, and he's like pressing all these buttons on the ship as well. It's just, it's such a good scene. When he comes back, he puts his glasses on, and he's looking at like the engines of the ship, and he's like, "I do not like the look of that hydrokilometer," or whatever the hell he says. It's just having the doctor back. I've loved this whole episode. I've loved John Smith, but having the doctor back right then and there is so good. The punishments for the family of Blood. This is one of the more brutal things the doctor's done. He doesn't actually kill any of the family, which you would expect from the doctor, but because he makes them live forever. That's their whole thing. They wanted to live to forever, so the doctor made it happen. He like put the little girl in a mirror permanently. The woman Jenny was thrown into like a black star or something. Baines became a scarecrow. I don't know how that works. And yeah, then the old guy, the farmer, they like chained him up somewhere. I can't remember now. Threw him into something in the TARDIS, I think. I can't 100% remember. But yeah, it's the punishments are pretty brutal. And finally, the doctor gives Tim the watch, and he survives the war. So Tim's kind of been having these little premonitions here and there about the war, and it turns out that, yeah, the doctor gives him the fog watch. Of course, it's just a normal fog watch now, but that helps him. He looks at the time on there, and from the premonitions he'd had from earlier on, he knows when this kind of bomb's going to land. He manages to get out of the way, saves himself and his friend, and yeah, saves himself in the war. And then the doctor and Martha go back afterwards when he's older, and it's so emotional. It's so good. So that is that, a long one today, two-parter of course, and just I have so much to say about this story. It is such a good story. A rating out of 10, I think it's pretty obvious. It's a 10 out of 10. This is my favorite Doctor Who story, probably of all time. I love it so much. There's not even that much of the Doctor in it technically, but it is so good. It's so different, and when the Doctor does come back, even though I've been loving it up until that point, having the Doctor back again is so amazing, and I love everything about the story. There's a couple of things here and there that aren't the best. I mean, the monsters disguising themselves as humans, I don't think that's really an issue, but it's something to bring up. The other thing that I don't think I mentioned was, you know, you can like stick your hand through these scarecrows and they're totally fine, but apparently bullets can kill them. I didn't really understand how that worked per se, but they're just foot soldiers. I can't really put too much into it. I love this episode so much that I cannot give it anything other than a 10 out of 10. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.